Hey everybody, welcome to Geek Camp. This is the Should I Switch series, and today we're doing Teachable. So if you use Teachable, you're going to want to watch this.
Yes.
Andrea is joining us over on this side.
Hello.
I might have to jump off a little bit early, but we're going to get into it and see how far we get. Just pulling up the live. If you're here with us live or replay, let us know. Tell us hi in the comments. And I think we're good to go. Do we need to plug anything or
No, other than I think exciting show tomorrow that we don't want to miss out on in terms of if you are a ClickFunnels affiliate, you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. So definitely want to do a shout out on that. And then just lots coming in the coming weeks here with all things GeekOut. So very exciting. And yeah, we're just looking forward to bringing all that to you guys.
So exciting.
Yay.
Okay. All right. So while you are getting ready to dive into it, Andrea, I'm just going to share like a little opinion, a little thoughts moving into this topic today of Teachable.
Yes, please do.
I think that you, Andrea, you have more experience working inside of Teachable. And what I do know, because I have more of the experience of user, like a consumer of Teachable, not necessarily a builder in it. And we know that there's a lot of people that choose to go use Teachable for their courses. That is the main reason you go and use that. No one is going to choose Teachable for funnels. But it is like a good one for using for courses. But we're going to dive into that. We're going to do some comparisons on as a whole, Teachable versus ClickFunnels Classic, ClickFunnels 2.0. And if you've watched these before, we did a Go High Level one. We did what was the other one we did?
It was Go High Level and it was Kajabi.
Kajabi. Thank you.
Yeah.
My brain went blank. We do some comparisons on like what that platform's or software's features are, like what they're known for, and comparing it to ClickFunnels. And then we do some price comparisons. So we will get to all of that whenever you're ready, Andrea.
Yeah. And I think our big disclaimer is at the end of the day, you have to pick the tech that works best for your brain and your business. And so while we definitely have strong opinions about technology and what we recommend to people, at the end of the day, it has to make sense for your brain and your business. So that should trump all things that anybody else says. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, here we go. Can you guys see that okay? Is that coming through okay, Susan?
Yeah, now we got it.
Okay, awesome. Yep, and just like you said, so this is the Should I Switch series. We did Kajabi, we did Go High Level. Today we are doing Teachable. The interesting thing whenever we're doing this Should I Switch series is that each one of the things on that list came because these are active conversations that we're having with people, right? So this is not a hypothetical. This is not we're trying to convert you. This is a no kidding. We've had these conversations, and this is typically how people approach us. And you'll notice that if you look back at our Kajabi and our Go High Level, they come to us with different questions and different asks. And it's no different with Teachable. So when I'm having the conversation of should I switch, rarely do I get into I am so done with Teachable. Like I'm just done with it, right? Like there's never really been the sentiment of I don't like Teachable. It's more of these three things. So it's more I want to make things more simple and not have so many systems and the cost that's associated with those systems. That's the first conversation starter usually. The second option in a conversation starter is I just need to make more and get more people to my offer. I've learned about funnels. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. How do I do that? Right. And so I might have even started with ClickFunnels, and that's what then leads us to the third one. And that is the customer experience is suffering because my sales system and my fulfillment system are in two different places. And the handoff between those two is really poor. And it's very hard, right? And there's a lot of help tickets associated with it. So these are usually the 3 points of conversation whenever I'm talking to anybody about Do I bring my Teachable instance over into my ClickFunnels world? And especially now that they are highlighting a lot of the membership stuff on 2.0, the conversations are starting to come up again. And so we're going to address each one of these today. Okay, so when you're trying to decide, should I switch from Teachable to ClickFunnels? Remember, on this show, we don't just talk about ClickFunnels 2.0, we also talk about ClickFunnels Classic. And I'm going to say, and I think we are still kind of the opinion that ClickFunnels 2.0 membership areas is not what we recommend at this current time. It has potential. If you're there, keep trying to make it work. There's a lot of workarounds. I would highly recommend that you pay attention to what's happening in the GeekOut group, especially some of the code gems that Dan is dropping. We in GeekOut are trying to actively make our membership, and we have decided to stay in 1.0 until 2.0 gets better. Just because the customer journey into membership areas and just inside of membership areas in 2.0, it's just not there yet. We're rooting for it. We're waiting for it. We're trying to make it work, but it's not there yet. So when we talk about Teachable, yeah, go ahead, Susan.
I was just going to say, we do have people in GeekOut that have built their courses into 2.0. Like you can do it. You can figure it out. What I've figured out of how I talk about it is that, if you are willing to figure out how to manipulate what they've given us, you could probably be fine. If you are not somebody who wants to take the time and figure out the workarounds to make it actually the way that you want it, then I'd stay away.
Yeah. I do think that you're still going to have some issues in terms of your customers accessing it, with the whole, just the way people come in and out of it. It's still going to be painful. But it is possible. Yep. It is possible. Yeah. Okay. So the reason I say that is because when I'm thinking about a Teachable, should I switch? The very first part of the conversation is you're not asking to switch to 2.0. I think what we're talking about is to switch into 1.0 would be my recommendation, but we'll talk about both. So the number one thing that most people consider is that cost. And is it worth it to have the extra cost of Teachable for what I get? And we have a price breakdown on the next slide that I think will answer this a little bit better. At the end of the day, it is comparable, but it is in terms of like, if I switch, the additional cost that's needed. So I'm going to actually hold on that one until we look at the price table, because I think that'll help make more sense. Mm-hmm. The second one is user experience. Without a shadow of a doubt, Teachable is easier to use and set up for the course part in itself. So, and you can essentially, it looks really decent. The customer experience is, the status quo of what we see with all of these. It's technically not a learning management system, but you might hear it referred to as that. So it's a system that helps with learning. It has content. It has more of the bells and whistles associated, or that you would think about when you think about a learning experience. And it gets the job done. It's not a bad experience, and it's easy to just plug your content in there and make a fairly decent, what would be expected from a customer standpoint of like, here's the content, go do the thing. Here's the content, go do the thing, right? Like, it's pretty standard. In terms of customization, and this is really what you're going to find with, this is the same theme that you're going to hear with all of these. The customization is that you are stuck with templates. You are stuck with the way it looks. Even you can do some pretty minor HTML, CSS hacks, and they even give you some of those, which is really nice. But in terms of like the basic structure and the basic layout, you're stuck with what you got. You can't really manipulate it or change it much, and you can't change that experience. So when we talk about the 6 different experience models, you're pretty much stuck with your classic course model, nav on the left, and somebody just basically navigates the content, on the right. And there's not a lot that you can do there. In terms of controlling access, this is another consideration, and this is usually that second pain point. Whenever you have your content in one system and you have to control access to that content, and you have your sales system and another system, and you have those separated, you have to get the two to talk to say, hey, I know that this person has access because they made the sale over here. Now, yes, there are things like Zapier, right? In terms of like back in, I know they can control access. But then on the front end, you have this extra layer when you're dealing with courses, and that is they have to create an account. So in the case of Kajabi, for instance, they auto create an account and they auto give a password, and that system is like a black box that you can't do anything with. So you have to basically generate like, hey, go send them an account information and a password. And it's all like the two systems talk, but then they have to send the email and they have to get it. And so there's a lot of room for error. It can't just be a nice seamless, like I buy the thing, I land on the thank you, and I get access to the thing. You can't do that when you have your sales system and your content system separate. You basically have to stop the customer flow. So they make the purchase, they're excited, they get to the thank you page, and then it's go check your inbox for access. And then you're going to hope and pray that the email came from the other system and they can get into the system. Now, for the most part, it's fairly reliable, other than your classic email deliverability issues, which you will always have. I don't care what anybody tells you, you are going to always experience email deliverability issues. It is not something that you can 100% control or fix. And in terms of troubleshooting, when they're like, oh, I didn't get it, right? Now you're like having to look in both systems. Is it an API issue? Is it right? Like it's not a smooth transition. And you have to just make sure that the timing of everything in terms of like account creation and email sends and all of that, you kind of are doing that dance. So when you do choose for the pros that you get with Teachable, the one con is no matter what you do, you will have a break in your customer journey after the sale, which is probably the last place that you want a break because they're excited and they're ready to get in and you just want to get them in and you can't. You have to physically break, go to email, get access, which again is not the end of the world, but not ideal by any means. Okay, so now let's talk about price. This is where it always gets interesting. And I think it's so funny because a lot of times we'll say like, oh, ClickFunnels is expensive, or, oh, I have to have these extra pieces in the tech stack. Because if we're comparing apples to apples, right, it's not just Teachable and ClickFunnels Classic. If you're going to compare apples to apples, it needs to be Teachable to ClickFunnels Classic plus ActiveCampaign plus a video hosting service, right? A Vimeo, a Wistia, a Loom, something like that, right? So, and then 2.0, obviously they have, you can see here the videos are included. So that is more of a one-to-one. Again, with the exception of the sales videos, which is the whole reason why somebody's probably coming to ClickFunnels is for the sales aspect of it, because the funnel technology on Teachable is pretty poor, right? It's pretty weak. And then autoresponder, Teachable does have the basic functions of marketing, just like 2.0 has the basic functions of marketing and workflow. So those are pretty comparable. ActiveCampaign is obviously a much more robust, better solution when it comes to just thinking about email alone and autoresponder alone. So you would need to include that cost. The membership hub, it's included in all of them. Teachable does have what we call course enhancers, right? So things like quizzes, progress tracking, certificates, right? These are all really nice to have, really good in terms of the learning experience. And Teachable has these out of the box, whereas ClickFunnels doesn't have anything like that. Even when they say they have surveys, you can't really do anything intelligent with those surveys with respect to a course experience. So that they're not really included. And then advanced customization, this is where it gets interesting. So if you are interested in customizing to the degree that like we customize with 1.0 and 2.0 soon, 2.0 accounts, right? Then you're looking at this upgrade thing that happens on the Teachable side to $665 per month. That's significant versus in 1.0 and 2.0, being able to customize is 100% included. They let you just do that out of the box, even on the 97 plan, right? So when we're looking at just from a pure price standpoint, this is what I always find so interesting. Teachable is actually more expensive. It's $159 a month versus ClickFunnels Classic. You can get at 106 even with the ads, and you can get 2.0 at 127, which is less. And you can get way more funnel options, which is going to help in terms of your sales and your ability to slice and dice and do experiments and try to sell your thing, right? Versus, and then even on the high end with ClickFunnels 1.0, if you get the good autoresponder and the good videos, you're still at that 191 versus the 159, right? And you get all of that capability in terms of customization and the marketing aspect with the autoresponder. So
Yeah. And you'd have a way better system for setting up an actual like proper sales system.
Yeah, a proper sales system, right? Exactly. With all of the things. So, and then again, 2.0, you don't need that video. You can see that that's coming in cheaper. So I think once they get the membership area dialed in 2.0, it'll be a no-brainer. Like there should be no reason you need to go to Teachable, because what we can do, you know what I mean, in 2.0 is comparable and less. So that's where it gets, super interesting. So once again, you know, initially when people are like, oh, I'm adding more to my tech stack, when I'm leaving Teachable, what you're gaining and the price point is comparable. And so it definitely is worth a look. Okay. So then I wanted to highlight a couple things for people who are not familiar with Teachable, and why I say that just from a pure user experience standpoint, it's really nice. They do have this feature, which early on we predicted that this might happen with the 2.0 membership, but we haven't got confirmation on this. And I don't think it's going to happen, but we're not 100% sure yet because we're still learning. So in Teachable, you actually have a parent account with Teachable. So like you can see here, I think I've bought about 100 courses that were Teachable courses. And so when I go into my Teachable, you know, main area and not through the door of anyone in particular, right? I can actually see all of my classes. This is really cool. So if you think about it, like I could have a ClickFunnels membership area and I basically am coming in, you know what I mean? And I can have access to all the things that I've bought. So I might have bought a course from, you know, Joe Schmo, and then a course from Sally Mae, and then a course from, you know, Billy Bob, and like, and I could just come to one place, right? And I see all those courses, which is, it's kind of cool that they do that. Again, I don't think that 2.0 is going to do that, but it feels like it has the potential to do it. And of course you could say that it kind of muddies the waters because I can, you know what I mean? Like these guys are not entities that know anything about each other. Right. And so it does. And especially as a user, if I come into my RX Ashley, there's a little bit of finagling in order to get into like my main like dashboard area where I can also see my school. But again, kind of nice because I just have one Teachable login.
It'd be cool if it was a dashboard that let you enter into people's, let's say we have, you bought Russell's stuff, you bought Jim Edwards stuff, you bought whatever. And then it would be, okay, I'm going to enter into like the things that Russell has sold me. And then, okay, I'm going to enter in. So it's still like everything's all in one place, but it's not like all the things I've bought are all in one place. It's more of like the entry into that person's business,
they have that.
into that world.
Yeah,
is that how it is? Because
yeah.
I think the one thing that it would be screwing up is if you have like all of it all intertwined, like it's separated, but all on the same page, is that you kind of get the value ladder kind of messed up of like getting distracted, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, oh, here's Russell Brunson's value ladder. Well, I'm seeing Jim's stuff over here. I'm going to go over and do that stuff and stuff. Like, I can see why that would be the benefit of keeping things separated.
Well, and let me clarify too. So when I say they have that, so like Amy Jo, there's like 20 offers that I've bought from her, right? So this is just one of hers, but you would see all 20 in like kind of a scattered mess on this dashboard. You know what I mean? Versus if I go right into her world, to your point, I can, you know, I can kind of control, they can't really control the order or what's shown on this dashboard without custom code. So it's basically just kind of a dumping ground a little bit of like all the things that I've bought, which you can see all of them there, right? And you can see here too. So back in the day before they created their Go High Level white labeled version, Funnel Gorgeous did use Teachable. And so you can see here that their world, right, were the courses that were there. Yeah. Okay. And then just to give you one more step down. So this is my game design. I'm giving you guys all my secrets right now, of like how I know what I know. No, I'm just kidding. No hide. Amy Jo, if you actually want to understand the buzzword of gamification, which I now use just because, selling the soul to the marketing gods of words. Gamification is full truth. Gamification is kind of, the way that we understand it is inaccurate. So if you actually really want to understand what's happening with gamification, I recommend that you go into a field called game design. And very specifically, there's a woman named Amy Jo Kim called game thinking, which applies what we would classically call gamification techniques to product design for product behavioral change. Anyway, this is totally not the topic of today, but so these are just two worlds, right? And if I dive deeper into Amy Jo's world, then I can come here, right? And I can see, again, very classic what you would see we're going to see this again next week with Thinkific. We saw it with Kajabi. We saw it with Go High Level. Like, it's very just classic, here's a lesson, here's a sub lesson. And then like, where are you at? Do you want to start? Now, I will say one thing that's kind of nice that, we haven't seen yet in the ClickFunnels world, but we know in 1.0, we can do it through custom. What Dan does is like progress. Like, I'm half done, I'm full done. I can, review, meaning like I've completed it. I can see my progress. So these are somewhat meaningless measures, or I should say they're not intelligent measures, but in terms of like, where did I leave off? Then, I can go in and I can dive in. So, which is again, what a thing we call wayfinding, which is a really nice, like, let me reorient and find my way for how I continue to progress in this course. The other one here is there's different, and this is very much like Thinkific. There's types of lessons. So there's like multimedia lessons, there's HTML lessons, there's text-based messaging lessons, there's audio lessons. And so it basically is a way for me, it's very odd, to be honest, but it's like a way to say, these are the type of elements and the type of layout that you're going to get when you pick this type of lesson. And this again goes back to your ability to customize is really low because they have these like templates of types of lessons, and the way that they look, you really don't have any control over, but they've tried to account for these are the typical types of lessons that you're going to get and you have to work with. So, anyway, that is again, very classic. The one thing that I am encouraged by with 2.0, while the navigation system is very, so funny. Every time that I'm about ready to say the next word that I'm going to say, it has politically turned into something very different. And so I need to get a new word. So in the SaaS world, it's called the Me Too play. It has nothing to do with the politics of what has happened, but it basically means that I am copying my competitors, and I'm doing the same features and functions that replicate, from what's out in the market. That is in the South. I really need to get a new word. I don't know what it is yet, but anyway, the being able to, like the lesson and the sub lesson and the sub lesson, and having the content on the left and then the content on the right, and then the like how you progress through. It's the same stuff that we see in all of it, right? Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of room for customization. Same, again, you can see like I'm in a completely different course in a completely different program with a completely different brand, but the essence of the flow and how it's laid out, they don't have a lot of control over. So it pretty much looks and feels the exact same. Which again is not horrible, but if you are actually interested in creating a learning experience, right, other than what we historically understand about learning experiences, your ability to do that is low. So because you pretty much are stuck with the same models, information vomit, maybe a little bit of content for action, right? Information vomit, content for action, instead of something that's a little bit more rich where I can track or I can engage or I can surprise or I can do any of that. Okay. So that is and let me just kind of show you that in action. So again, here I'm in my Teachable homepage. I can see all of my courses. and I can go down. And then again, if I were to click into one of these, then I start to get into, I'm in the Funnel Gorgeous world, and I can see, again, I mean, these little things are kind of nice. It's a nice little, flavor on the course. And one of the conversations that I oftentimes have is that, yes, it is easier to just dump your content in. You don't have to think about what is that experience, right? It's like, I'm going to maybe make that up in a community, or I'm going to make that up in a nurture path or some other way. I just need to get my content out there in a way that's really organized and clean. And it does that. It does that for you. Last note I'll say on community, they do not have a community function. You would still be doing a separate community. We know the communities that are out there are ones. Mighty Networks, Circle.so, Discord, Facebook groups, Slack. These are some of the really popular community tools that are out there. By far the one that is growing in popularity is Circle.so, because you can fully embed it into a membership area like this. And so that is usually the one that I recommend, just because of that function. So super cool stuff there. The last thing I'll note is, as Susan and I were talking, we were asking, and I have stopped paying on this account because I'm not using it. But we were asking the question in terms of, can they really handle, a lot of times when people are thinking about membership areas, they get that confused with the business model, meaning a continuity monthly subscription. And Teachable can handle that. So, and they have this idea of the products are, you have courses, you have coaching, you have digital products, and you have bundles. And so this is their, limited way of being able to pull that all together. Now, we have seen indicators of this in 2.0. We have not yet fully understood what that means in practice. But we have seen this concept of, like, I think in the 2.0 language, is it a physical product? Is it a service? Or is it a coupling of those things, right? They have not put a lot of emphasis on, is it a course? Is it a coaching program? Which the coaching thing is really interesting, because I could totally go down a rabbit hole in this one, but just when you're doing coaching programs, right, it's more akin to like masterminds or places where the coaching, they want to hold you one-on-one accountable. And so you have to consider, private spaces in your virtual system, which again, I don't think 2.0 at all is accounting for. So anyway, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. So if you are in that camp of, I'm in Teachable and do I switch for maybe one of these reasons, you can come in and have a discussion with us inside of the Geek Out community. We'd be happy to go in more depth on your unique situation. But I think that when you're making the decision, honestly, I think the only reason I would recommend somebody stay in Teachable is if you are, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and it's making money for you, and you have all your content out there and it's good enough, and you just kind of want to wait for 2.0 to get on par, stay the course, my friend. But if you're like, you know what, I really want to up my funnel game, and I want to, increase my AOV and or my ACV, and I want to play around with some more funnel strategy, and I don't want my customer experience to suffer because of that handoff thing, well, then come on over to 1.0 and let's go, and that would be my, that's pretty much my summary. Susan, what would you add onto that?
Awesome. I think you nailed it. I think that really is all there is to it.
Awesome.
And the conversation is going to change when they've made improvements to the 2.0 courses area. So
yeah,
we'll probably have to revisit this, and our answer will be different.
Yeah. I will say one other thing, just like I said on Kajabi though, if you are interested in, like, hey, you want to come over, you want to move your Teachable stuff over, you like the look and feel of Teachable, and you want your tech stack just to be in 1.0 because of these cost savings, you can hire a geek, and we can 100% make your 1.0 look exactly like your Teachable. So we have done that many times before, all of the features and functions. So if that is something that you are interested in, then reach out and we'd be happy to do that.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Real quick, as we wrap up, GeekOut Academy has hot seats later today at 1:30 Mountain. I gotta pull up my calendar really quick.
Sounds right. I gotta pull up mine too.
12:30 Pacific.
There we go.
3:30 Eastern. So if you're in GeekOut Academy, don't forget about hot seats. If you're not in GeekOut Academy, come join us. We can help you with hot seats. And tomorrow, you kind of mentioned this. Tomorrow we have Turner Leslie coming in talking about the ClickFunnels affiliate program, the program to sell ClickFunnels as an affiliate, not using ClickFunnels for your own affiliate program. So if you want to know more about that, come join us tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay, we'll see you all then.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.